Puppers Corner. We have Shannon with us.
Hi, everyone.
Sammy is out. She just had a baby last week, and so she's spending cuddle time with that little one. And she'll check in when she gets everything settled down. And we're excited to have Shannon with us today, and hopefully you can join us another time and move as we move forward. So, just that each week we kind of just people are familiar with our dogs because we tell people the cool stuff our dogs are doing. So just tell us about maybe a little bit about how you became a dog person and about your puppies you have now.
Well, I think I was born a dog person.
Okay.
Maybe it was my dad, but he always had hunting dogs. We just always had several dogs when I was growing up, and I dearly loved them, but they were always outside dogs for the most part, and I always wanted an inside dog. So anyway, I just have come by it naturally, and now I have only one dog.
Okay.
And his name is Sully, and he's a golden doodle, and the love of my life.
Okay. Yeah, they are so much fun.
Yes.
Whenever I see them when I'm at the dog park or whatever, they always seem happy.
Yes.
Every single one I run across.
Yeah. He's got a great personality.
Super fun. Mm-hmm. So today our topic is about two topics really, and Samantha brought this one on my radar because I would have never ever thought of this as a topic until she brought it up. She was moving her feeding bowl for her dog Daisy, and she noticed there was just a bunch of grunge around the bottom of it, and her question was, how often should you clean your dog bowls? I don't believe I've ever cleaned a dog bowl, but according to Dr. Becker, who I use as a source a lot with, are you familiar with the Mercola
yes,
website?
Dr. Mercola, yes.
So they have a branch called the Healthy Pets,
which I didn't know that before.
Dr. Becker.
Okay.
She's how to describe her? She's a veterinarian from Chicago, but she
more holistic.
Mm-hmm. Wants to avoid toxins as much as possible, and that type of thing. So I use her as a source a lot, and she has a lot of really good information on there. It's
right.
healthypets.mercola.com.
I'm so glad to know about that.
And then I subscribe to her blog, and they send you typically an email a day, and they'll have different topics on it. And so I searched on her website, and the experts, the research she done is they say you should clean it every day, but not every day. In between each feeding.
Yeah, I never had heard that in my life, and I was completely shocked about that. Now, the water bowl, I would notice getting grungy even more before the food bowl because he pretty much licked it clean. So I would never have known.
Well, I pretty much do that for the water bowl. For those of you who don't know, I have 4 dogs, 2 beagles and 2 labs, and they slobber in it and they pretty much drink it all. I have a really big stainless steel bowl, and if they're outside running around any at all, they'll drink all that water. So I rinse it out with a little bit of soap
quite a bit
every day, once a day.
Okay.
The water. Now the food, never.
Never would have
And it's
thought of
talking about obviously bacteria, I guess, and there's bacteria in their slobber, and then they obviously, even if the bowl looks clean, their slobber grows bacteria or whatever. But
and also she pointed out that it can be transferred to leftover food because every now and then there's a few little pieces left that Sully won't eat, and I never in a million years would have thought those few little pieces could be growing bacteria left over from his saliva.
Right.
So that's there's
nothing left in my house.
Yeah, I bet with all of yours.
The others would clean it. Jackson, our big lab, he would clean up anything that's left over. But there's never hardly any. And then it was interesting. She talked about using a smaller bowl and a larger scoop, you essentially fill the whole bowl up.
Yes.
And it, so just some different feeding things. And I was really interested in to feeding them to where they don't eat so fast, because my dogs just gobble their food, inhale it.
Yeah, Sully used to do that when he was a puppy. He slowed down, but I thought she had some really good tips on that.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of reading through that. And an interesting one was use a muffin tin.
Yes.
So they definitely would have to slow down, and if you just spread it out through a muffin tin
And I think it wears them out a little bit more too.
And of course they always have specialized bowls you can buy to slow them down. Have you seen those?
Yes.
Yeah.
My sister has one of those. And I also thought it was interesting that she said you could use a cookie sheet.
Yeah. Because it spreads it out and it makes them work at it a little bit. Yeah, that's a good idea. Because, my dog, and so they're really kind of licking it up.
Right.
Because she's a proponent of the fresh diet.
Yes.
And so it's not, yes, I feed fresh food. So it's not like kibble. I mean, it'd slide around on a sheet, but that you can kind of just smear on there.
Smear it on
They almost like they're licking it off instead of just gobbling it up. And
I think that would be so much better. And the other thing she pointed out, which I just happen to have a metal bowl, but she really suggests metal and as opposed to
porcelain.
plastic.
Yeah, the
or
plastic.
Porcelain. Right.
Yeah, it'll leach chemicals over time, and
Which
then it'll get brittle and break, and then they could if they get a piece in their mouth and choke on it. Yeah, I had some plastic ones, and then as I was researching that, I just pitched them.
Right.
I hadn't been using them much, just if I couldn't find the other ones or something. But,
right. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Yep. We will have a link to that article on the show notes so you can read more about it. But a lot of good tips in that article. So, all right. Our next topic was flea and tick season is upon us. And, oops. Hold on. My notes are all messed up. Here we go. So other feeding tips: avoid plastic, it leaches. Strong chewers can hurt themselves in plastic shards. Okay. So there was a story about a dog hero from, I think it was Pennsylvania. So this is just another reason to have a dog. I guess someone broke in, they were going to kidnap a child. Mm-hmm. And the dog, when they snuck in a window, the dog started growling and barking at it, and it scared him off.
Oh my goodness.
And because he got caught, he just went to another house and kidnapped a girl, and they caught him.
Oh my goodness!
So he was going to kidnap that girl, obviously, but the dog ran him off.
Another wonderful reason to have dogs.
Yeah. So anyway, it's something you don't think about till you're in the middle of it. There's no way someone could get in our house. We don't need an alarm.
Yeah, because of the dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I did, side note on that, one time in our old neighborhood, our next door neighbors were broken into, and it was in the afternoon, and my youngest one was playing out in the backyard, and it just, flipped me out that this was in the middle of the day and we were there by ourselves.
Yikes.
And I was speaking to one of the policemen that day when they showed up at the house, and he said, your best line of protection are dogs. Yeah. And he said alarms don't do it, but he said a barking dog will usually run people off more than an alarm will. So
and we have, it's funny, our biggest dog has like the little weenie bark, and our oldest lab, she's kind of petite, but she sounds like she's like this big gruff dog. I mean, she's got this real deep, loud bark when she will scare you.
That's what makes a difference.
Definitely. I think that's a unsung benefit of having a dog.
It is. And like Sully sounds mean, but he'd probably make friends with somebody if they
right. No, that's the way Jackson is. He's like 90 pounds.
Yeah.
And he would be like, play with me.
Yes. I need another friend.
But he scares people, but he's like a big teddy bear. But okay, and so we're approaching summer, and that it's a big issue with most dog owners is ticks and fleas.
Yes.
And so there's some things you can do. And, if you've been listening to this podcast, we're not like huge fans of chemicals and toxic load for your dog. We want to eliminate as much as we can. So we're just going to go talk through that. And we're like the hiking family. We go out in the wilderness and in the woods in summer and fall, and we hike a lot, and definitely in tick-laden areas, and so this is a near and dear to my heart. So any thoughts before we kind of dig into that?
Well, I mean, yes, I didn't even before I realized I was as holistic as I am towards my pets.
Right.
We had a small Bichon, little white, almost poodly looking dog that I got because my only son had allergies, and so this
they were
dog was supposed to be a hypoallergenic dog. As it turns out, this dog had allergies horribly. So when I would put his flea and tick stuff on, he would almost develop a hot spot immediately, which would cause a whole other chain of reaction. So I mean, it got to where I hardly put him outside and didn't give him that medication, which led me to believe and to research all the chemicals. So I really hate giving, Sully or the pet I have now anything chemical if I don't have to. But the veterinarians really kind of scare you about it.
Right, sure.
Heartworms and all that.
Yes.
So,
and the heartworm's another issue. But with the flea and tick, you can do some things to help. Two things, where they're not attracted to the dog, and then also your yard. Right. Make sure your yard's good. And so, I wanted to start with the chemicals that are in the standard flea and tick repellent. This is an article I found online about that, and they go through some of the things that are in those and what they do. So the first one's fipronil, which I had never heard of any of these. I've never
heard of that either.
But I don't keep up with it as much. No. So again, this is a podcast not from experts. We're not health experts. We're not training experts. We're average, everyday dog owners trying to do better. So that's what we're about. And so the fipronil causes altered thyroid hormones, liver toxicity, kidney damage, convulsions, whining, excessive barking or crying, loss of appetite, motor difficulty, fertility problems, loss of hair where they apply it, inflammation, chemical burn, and itching. Okay, so
itching was probably one of the biggest things that happened
with the puppy.
Yeah, with the pup. Yeah.
Okay. So, and then also when it's exposed to light, it gets 10 times more toxic.
That's another thing that was absolutely news to me, because what you do is you send them right outside.
Right, sure. And the point is you're trying to control or help them with the fleas that are outside.
Outside in the sunlight.
Yeah, so anyways, so that's the first one. Then the second one is pyrothins and pyrethroids. I think from reading the article, that's the ones that they apply directly to the skin.
Oh, okay, then that must be what I'm talking. Yeah, okay.
The little tubule that they put right at the base of the neck. Let's see. They produce hot spots, heart attacks, seizures, brain damage.
Okay, so that must have been what I was talking about. That would happen to my smaller dog was the hot spots.
Maybe. Yeah. But yeah, those get very itchy. From my understanding. They did it says here, this is Center for Public Integrity, so I haven't delved into what that is and how accurate or viable this research is, but from this, it says from 2002 to 2007, 1,600 pet deaths were related to that pyrethroid spot treatment for the flea and tick.
Wow.
Yikes. So 90,000 adverse reactions and 1,600 deaths.
And that's probably that's only probably a minority of people who even report things, or maybe
they talk about that it's underreported more than likely. Yeah. So yikes. Imidacloprid? I can't even pronounce half these things. So that's another one that's in these, and it causes liver, thyroid, heart, lung, spleen, adrenal, brain, and gonads or sex organ malformations, or not malformations, but problems. Increased cholesterol levels, liver toxicity. So these are, we want to try to do everything we can to help them before you need the chemicals, because and some of that is your yard. And what I found really effective, and it's kind of a pain in the butt because you have to reapply it, but diatomaceous earth, sprinkle it around the border of your yard. Obviously, if you have a really large yard, you're going to use more, but if you can, or maybe you, during the flea and tick season, you section off your yard where when they're outside, they're in that area.
Right, yeah.
And then you can just treat that area, but you just sprinkle it around the border. And when the fleas crawl through that powder, it's supposed to dry them up and kill them. So
where do you buy that? Or where would you buy that? I mean, does the Amazon have it?
Yeah, I'm sure they have. Yeah, that's where we bought it.
Okay.
That's how, if I remember
I had never
now.
even heard of it. And I'm so excited to hear about
You
that.
can find it. When I first heard about it, this hadn't been too long ago, we had an ant problem, and they said diatomaceous earth. If you don't want to use chemicals,
because we've had ants too.
And so I just sprinkled it around the border of our house.
Okay.
And no more ants.
Oh my goodness! Didn't know. That's
or if you can see their little tunnels in the yard, just sprinkle it in the top of that.
Oh my
and when
goodness.
they crawl across it, they dry up and die. I guess.
Okay.
So it's worked well the first time we used it. So I'm just gonna. And every time it rains, you have to reapply.
Okay, that was my next question because, like, we've had a lot of rain here recently, and there's certain parts of, especially the borders of our yard by the fence, that it literally can turn into a pond or a puddle. So I'm assuming immediately after that dries up would be a good time to reapply.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's a powder and it just sticks to their exoskeleton. So obviously, when it gets wet, that powder turns to paste.
Okay.
So you just re-sprinkle it.
Okay.
So you'll go through it, but it's not that expensive.
Well, and compared to
it's no chemicals,
right?
And
or paying somebody to come out, as we have done in the past, to spray, and especially even for ants, like you mentioned. So,
right.
Okay.
And so that worked well for us. And then the first thing that they talk about for flea and tick is to have a healthy dog, because fleas and ticks are not attracted to the healthier the host, the less attracted they are to. So I have taken my dogs through tons of wilderness where they have ticks crawling on them, but they won't attach.
I was so excited to see this because I have never, until you sent me this article, I've never seen that healthy dogs attract less fleas.
And what we noticed with our Molly, who's our 7-year-old lab, when she was on regular food, that's one of the reasons we switched to fresh food. Is she was just covered in them, and we did the whole. She's an indoor-outdoor dog, so we had to steam our carpets and do all that, multiple times, because once you get an infestation, they lay those eggs, and then and anyway, it was a mess.
So changing her food, you immediately,
or not immediately.
I shouldn't say immediately.
No,
how long did it take?
Probably that. Well, I mean, the season, when during the winter there's no, but so the next flea
season
and tick season, no problem whatsoever.
Difference.
Yeah, and she stopped itching. Part of her itching was skin allergies from the diet she was on, and part of it was she just had tons of fleas. They just left her. And so we switched all our dogs to fresh food after that.
Okay.
Have not had a problem since. Now we have 2 new puppies that are there. This is going to be their first
season.
Yeah, so we'll see. But that we took them hiking with us the other day, and like I said, they were crawling on them. And so when we got back, we just checked them and brushed them and picked them off and threw them away. Okay. The ticks that we saw crawling on them, but they were never attached.
Okay.
And I check them, periodically after that, and have no problems. So that is fabulous. And then you can. It says to use soaps that have no dyes, like Castile-based soap, dog shampoo. Give them frequent baths during that time. It talks about just small amounts of garlic. You don't want to go overboard.
I didn't know that either. Yeah.
It can be toxic in larger amounts, but if you just like one clove in their food,
raw piece of clove of garlic.
Yep.
Okay.
And you can do one of 2 things. Like your dog is what, 50 pounds?
Yeah, he's about 40 actually.
So you could do a half a clove. So cut one in half and either chop it up real fine in their food, or if you just want to
see if he likes
put it down, down their throat and make them swallow it.
Okay.
And that's supposed to help less attraction, because anything in their diet creates essence in their skin. Residual essence in their skin. So those flea and tick are not attracted to that.
So will we smell the garlic on them?
I don't know. I haven't noticed it.
Yeah, it'd be worth it though.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing I noticed in this article, which we just had this the other day, is fertilizers. Like we had the people come out to spray for weeds in the yard, which I know they say there's a certain amount of time that it's safe for the dogs again, but it was literally like a green dye on our grass. And I noticed Sully licking his
Oh, yeah.
paws more after that because he hadn't done it very much in a while.
Oh, yeah.
So
He was
I would assume,
irritated it a little bit.
it irritated a little bit, which I know a lot of people get their yard sprayed. And, or even if you're out walking them and they're walking through somebody's yard.
Oh, yeah. That's this time of year.
Right.
I'm walking the dog. I walk him twice a day.
Right.
You'll be walking along and all of a sudden you'll get a whiff of that. I'm like,
it's horrible.
Strong.
So you can imagine probably what it does to their little paws. So I would imagine even using some of those natural paw wipes afterwards too, in addition to everything that they're, you're doing for their environment or what they're eating would also help with that.
And then this article also talked about they have recipes for essential oils that you can spray out before you're going to go hiking in the woods or whatever. And it repels so they don't just get swamped with ticks, because I picking them out of my hair when we go in the woods, so.
Well, I remember last year I asked my vet, I said, is there anything natural I could do? And he's, not against holistic things, but he still had no, information about this. So I think even if people Google essential oil blends.
Yeah, and it has some recipes on this article.
Yeah. So wonderful. Oh, that's right. It does.
Yeah. So citronella, clary sage, peppermint, and lemon.
Yeah.
So I haven't tried this. I'll be honest.
Makes me wonder.
I don't have enough of an issue for it because, like I said, my dogs this ticks and fleas don't. We go through them, but they just don't attach to them, and they don't get infested. So knock on wood.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be better, maybe that'll repel them, or they don't even, attach to them, or drop on them or anything.
I'd love to try that.
I know, spray it on me too.
Yes.
So there's some recipes to try. Like I said, I have not tried them, so I don't know how effective they are, but
here's
it's
one
not
that
going to hurt you.
Yeah, and literally this one says Goodbye Ticks Essential Oil Blend.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's got geranium, rosewood, lavender, myrrh. This is a new one to me. Opoponax.
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 I've never seen that. And drop
and
bay leaf.
Yep. Okay. Well, I'll be darned. Worth the shot.
Yes,
better than the chemicals that we listed off and all the stuff that they have the potential to cause problems with. So, all right. A lot of good information. We'll post those links, and let's see. So, let's see what else I have on here. Yeah, so that's about all I have. Anything else?
No, I think that's all great information, especially right now for this time of year. It's very, it's very applicable because we're all getting into that season, and I'm going to start washing the dog bowl out.
Yeah. I may wash it out more often, but I don't think I'm going to do it in between each feeding.
Well, especially with 4 dogs. Yeah.
So,
each dog I add, I might be less
inclined to. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so just to summarize, have as healthy a dog as possible to prevent them from being a good host for the fleas and ticks. And then just when you in an area where there's been ticks, you just gotta. I give them a bath as soon as possible, and you'll see them just crawling on us, and just pick them off, and I pick them off and throw them in the toilet and flush them so that I know that they're
out of the house.
Gone. Yep.
Yes. Is there? Okay, that reminds me. I was going to ask you earlier. Is there a certain shampoo that you order or you like for the dogs?
I got the one from PetSmart that was no dyes and just no. That's the main thing. Just
Okay.
But this article says Castile soap. Which I haven't used before, so I'm open to anything that just is
more natural.
No chemicals.
Okay.
Okay. And we, with Molly, our lab that gets skin allergies, I give her more baths than I give the others.
You do? Okay.
Jackson, I can just... but another reason I give her more baths is she hates the hose. She flips out. But Jackson, our big lab, black lab, he'll just stand there. It don't matter if it's cold out. You just, if you get some mud on him and you don't want to give him a bath, he'll just let you spray him down with the hose and he's fine.
And that's funny. Different personalities, different dogs.
Yeah, for sure. She just flips. She likes a bath. She loves a bath.
Yeah, because usually labs love water.
Yeah. So. Oh, and she loves swimming and going to the lake and all that. But
not the hose.
You get the water hose out, she starts flipping out. So we tried that a couple of times, and I thought, well, Jackson will do it, so why can't you do it?
Right.
Nope. And it's like a battle of wills. She will squirm around and take off running. You pick up a hose, she takes off running.
She likes it on her own terms, I guess.
Yes. So, all right. Well, I thank you for filling in for Sammy. Maybe when Sammy gets back, you can still come on in and we can just chat and talk about our puppies.
Yes, my favorite topics.
Yes. Okay. So we'll sign off and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.